women's sports is not a charity, and it is not a corporate DEI project. It is on its own incredible entertainment product.
One of our superpowers is the competitiveness of our league, and we have the best women's soccer league in the world.
We just want the game to grow as much as it can. We just want the best competition in the world.
We're growing our audience. We're attracting new fans.
The viewership just doubled, but I think numbers will prove that this is an incredible opportunity, and the time is now, and if you miss it, you're going to regret.
And joining us now is someone who knows a little bit about the growth of the NWSL, a man of many talents, entrepreneur, investor, girl dad, and the first gentleman of tennis royalty, the one and only Alexis Ohanian. Alexis, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the time. We just heard Michelle Kang talk that women's sports is not a charity, and that's a sentiment that you've echoed numerous times. Can you share your motivation behind that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can still find my rage tweet from March of 2019, where I broke down and went viral for saying how insane it was that women's professional sports and American soccer, football in particular, was yet to produce billion-dollar teams because of how popular the U.S. women's national team was, how addictive the Women's World Cup was, especially here in the United States. It made no sense to me. And at the end of my tweet storm, I said, look, I'm either going to start or buy an NWSL team. Can anyone help? And actually, Alex Morgan, to her credit, and I have her jersey signed back here to honor it, Alex Morgan responded and took time out of her schedule. I learned a ton from her, and that's obviously what led me to become the founding control owner of Angel City. And, it all started with a rage tweet, but it's been amazing to see the growth ever since.
Alexis, Dara Torres here. When I was doing research for this interview, there was something that I really wanted to know more about. Initially, when you were thinking about investing in women's soccer, you got a little bit of pushback from a certain individual, your wife, Serena. What did she tell you about women's professional sports that might have given you a little bit of a pause or encouraged you to invest?
Yeah, I'm the kind of investor, I think the reason I've had the success I've had being an early stage, like first check investor, is that when people who deeply understand industries try to talk me out of something, I lean in more because I really want to understand the reason why. And I am, as my wife will attest, very stubborn. But look, she lived firsthand, right? She is the reason. Serena and Venus are the reason why I knew women's professional sports could be an amazing business opportunity, because in America, even to this very day, right, more Americans watch the U.S. Open final for the women than the men. Check those stats. That's not, because of feminism. It's not because it feels good. It's because it is really compelling and an amazing product. And it's thanks to Billie Jean creating pay equity, which forced the investment. And it's because of generational talent like Serena and Venus. That legacy exists to this day. And so she lived through firsthand just how difficult it was to build and generate the respect and the support and all those things that she and Venus were able to do and elevate the game. And I think she also just saw firsthand how broken a lot of these systems were. And candidly, when I came to my first Board of Governors meeting at the NWSL, and this was back like January of 2020 now, just gotten this new team, didn't even have a name for it yet. One of the things that shocked me the most was all the other owners they were also white guys, but even older than me. And every single one of them had basically said that they did this as a kind of charity because they had a daughter or a granddaughter who liked soccer. And that was their motivation. And I was shocked. And I told them, I said, listen, guys, I don't get out of bed unless I'm trying to build billion-dollar companies. If you are not willing to invest to generate that kind of a return, you should probably step aside. Because I think when we look back on the legacy of underinvestment in women's sports, sadly, it will be this story of not just sexism and not just racism, but also just business incompetence and mediocrity. And trust me, that won't get you very far building businesses in tech, and it shouldn't get you very far building businesses in sports.
Preach, Alexis. As a former player in the NWSL, I felt this so deeply. But, you invested in Angel City, like you said, in 2020. Now it's leading revenue in the NWSL. And you've also invested in Chelsea FC. And where have you seen the true value of investing in these two franchises in particular where others don't offer?
Well, look, I mean, I did not know what I was doing when I was getting things started there and learned a lot, certainly from the Angel City experience. Looking across the pond, the opportunity in England was very clear, especially this was before, obviously, the women had gone back to back winning Euros. But even after the first, winning is a very powerful thing. And I think a whole generation of boys and girls in England became very, very proud of their women footballers because they brought it home, right? That was a big deal. And it felt like that was a spark that maybe the WSL needed. And so I started paying a lot more attention, and Chelsea obviously has an amazing trophy case. They are an incredible brand, an incredible team with incredible history. And, in this case, I invested a minority ownership position, but grateful to have it, and just very excited to see it keep growing. And I do hope every American has their NWSL team. Obviously, I hope it's Angel City, but you're also allowed to have a WSL team as well. And I hope that one is Chelsea.
Well, Alexis, I'm going to switch to collegiate sports right now with women because I am a coach at Boston College for the men's and women's swim teams. You have 2 daughters. You never know. They may eventually want to play in collegiate sports. Looking at the landscape of women's sports in college, if you could fund or figure out a way to fund women's collegiate sports, what would that vision be?
Gosh, where do I begin?
We need help.
Okay, so I also rage tweeted in the wake of the NCAA women's basketball weight room scandal about how absurd it was that they weren't supporting these ladies. They weren't even allowed to say March Madness back then, right? It was crazy. And I actually challenged the NCAA to just sell me women's basketball so that if they weren't going to invest in it, that they just do it right. Now they didn't. Unfortunately, I've become a large donor to my alma mater, UVA women's basketball team. Go Hoos! And so I think college basketball college sports has had this breakthrough moment because of NIL. I feel very, very strongly. You can come up with all the complaints you want about not being interested in women's sports, and I still get it on Twitter every now and then. But when you see the dollars, right, the dollars that are assigned in value to the attention that these athletes generate, like, ball don't lie. Like, when you have the ability to show that the free market wants to invest literally millions of dollars in some of these athletes, yeah, you'd better be giving them a good weight room. You'd better be promoting them. Like, they are an asset. They are valuable. And so I think we are in an interesting time, especially now as I'm spending a lot more time, obviously, building a women's track and field league in Athlos. I think for a lot of the larger, more lucrative sports around college campuses, I think this is going to be a great boon. But for the recent changes and the recent rulings, I think there is a real risk to a lot of the traditionally underfunded, under-supported sports around college. And I think athletics is one area where I hope, even with this new wave of NIL, we can continue to see investment. But look, if it's not going to come from the universities, believe me, we have big goals with Athlos, and we want to see it grow into not just a top-tier brand for the fastest women in the world, but all the way down through collegiate, high school, who knows.
Well, Alexis, you are leading that growth. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.